Hi everyone. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about AWK. AWK is the final power tool that we will end up focusing on for this particular class. Technically, AWK is actually considered a programming language. A lot of what you're going to be doing with it is some of the lesser functionality, but there's actually quite a wide range of things that AWK is able to be used for. There's a lot more than it can do than what we're going to be seeing here. So please don't feel that there's nothing else you can do with it. We are barely scratching the surface. Now with awk, it can actually support regular expressions. We can do one-line programs, and it's actually considered Turing complete. Now, the way that awk works in general is that it will read the input line one at a time. If we are doing something like finding a pattern match, it will find the pattern, and then whatever you're asking it to do, it can do. So for example, we could have it do some printing or some substitutions or have it work with the different texts in the file in a lot of different ways. So there's a lot of things that we can do to have it manipulate the file. Now, you can see in here I have two files. I have a datebook file. Well, I have three, datebook v2, but you can ignore that. I have datebook and I have awk sample, which is an awk program. So we're going to start with some basics of what awk can do. So if we look at our datebook file, we can see that it has quite a bit of information. It's got names, phone numbers, addresses. Now, none of these are obviously real. There is no Zippy the Pinhead in Farmount. There's no Popeye the Sailor in Anywhere. These are just some sample pieces of data so that we have something to work with. Now, we can see that, I'll leave this up for you. So we can see that the first bit of this is going to be names, and then the second bit is going to be phone numbers. So let's say, for example, I just want to print the first section of this. Now, awk, like said, has something called a delimiter. A delimiter is how we are able to break up the line. So by default, the delimiter is going to be spaces, but I'll actually show you how to change that in a little bit. So let's say we want to use awk and we would like to print just the first little bit of the file, and we want to run this on datebook. So now you can see by running awk print $1, I am able to see the first name in this file. Now, because it's using spaces as the delimiter, it's going to print everything up to that first space. Now, let's say, for example, I wanted to get a little bit more out of this. I don't want just the first names. I actually want to add in a little something else. Now, I'm using the T here for a tab so that I can space it out a bit. And then I'm also going to have it print out a little bit more. So now I can see what I'm getting is the first name and then the town or part of the town that this person, these people, happen to fake live in. Now, by adding in the $1 and $5, what I'm actually looking at is each section of that line, and that's going to be broken up. So if we look back at our datebook, we can see that up to the first space is first name. The second space is actually way over here. So this entire piece of information is actually considered the second piece that this would print if we did $2. So let's say, for example, I wanted to look for something specific. So I want to start pattern matching. So if I want to search for everybody that works in or lives in Massachusetts, I would say, hey, awk, I would like to find everybody that lives in Mass, and I would like to print the second piece. I would like a tab, and then I would like to print the fifth piece of this file, and I would like it to be done on this datebook that I'm working with. So, oh, don't forget the second piece of the pattern match. Sorry about that. So now what I can see is that anything that is between these two slashes is what it's going to look for. So these are the two fake people that live in Massachusetts. Now, let's say, for example, I actually don't like the way that this looks. I don't want spaces to be my delimiter. I'd actually like to change my delimiter. So if I want to change my delimiter, there's actually a number of different ways that I could do that. So I could take my previous statement and I can actually use an option of capital F and then a colon. And then this will say, hey, awk, I would like my delimiter to be a colon instead of a space. So now when I print it, what you're actually seeing here is the number and maybe a zip code. So let's say I want to actually change this a little bit. I'd like the first name and I think it's phone number. So now I'm going to have the first name and the phone number of everybody that lives in Massachusetts. Now, there's actually a number of different ways that we can play with this. So the next thing that we could say is, okay, I actually don't want to do it with the option. I want to use this variable fs, and I'm going to have the variable fs, which is the delimiter variable. I want to change that. So now I'm going to do this, and you can see I actually get the exact same results even though my commands are slightly different. This one is using the -f option. This is using the fs variable, but I still get the same thing. Now I can actually move how this is happening again. So I can actually get rid of that and I can go put this at the end. So I can say fs, still I want it to be a colon, and I can go put that after it and I'm still going to get the same results. Now, there's actually one more way that we can change this by doing a small single line program. So instead of having the fs at the end there, what I'm going to do is actually slightly modify the information I'm sending to awk, and I'm going to say begin, and then I'm going to modify fs to be the colon, and then I'm going to continue on my merry way. And you can see that this has, again, given me the exact same results, just in a slightly different way. Now let's say, for example, I actually want to look at the program that I've written. So if I look at my awk sample, which I've pre-typed so you don't have to watch me type the whole thing, what you can see here is my shebang line. Now, for those of you that remember shell scripting and Intro to Linux, the shebang line is the very first line in our program so that we're telling the computer how we want this script executed. Where are the instructions for executing the script? Now, in my case, the instructions are actually user bin awk. If you want to check what it is in your case, you would say which awk, and then it will tell you where awk lives so that you know exactly what to put in your shebang line. Now what I'm doing is I'm starting my awk program with the curly brace, ending it with a curly brace. I like to put those in right away just so that I don't forget them. You can see I'm changing my fs variable just like we did here and here and here. And then I'm having it print $1 and $2 just like we were above. And I can run my awk sample on datebook. And you can see in this case, I'm printing everything. I didn't match mass. I'm just printing name and number for everybody in datebook. But I could go back into my awk sample and I could have it search for mass if I wanted to. So you can see this is a way that we could actually take the command line usage that we were working with and all of these different options and actually create awk scripts based off of them, or sort of vice versa, we can take our awk scripts and put it into a single line command. So these are some basics of the things that you can do with awk and some of the beginning manipulations that you can make with it and how to create your very first awk script. Please let me know if you have any questions.